At first sight, the KS Vogue theme might look simple and plain, but that might not be the case, as we have implemented a new color system that you can use to easily adjust the colors for any section and page on your Shopify store. Also, for this theme, we have implemented two new sections: the lookbook section, as you can see here, and also the newsletter pop-up section that you are seeing just now. Also, new for this theme is this nice transparent navbar that you are seeing here, and many more small improvements that we have done across the theme, especially on the global theme settings. Okay, so first we are going to check the global theme settings, and then we are going to check the various sections and pages, like the collection page and the product page. Okay, let's start first with the colors. As we have said, we have implemented a new color system that is used across all sections. Okay, on the global setting, we have the settings for 4 colors that you can, of course, change it. For example, you can change this primary color to, let's say, this red one. Also, you can change the secondary color to on the same level, but a different color. For example, let's choose this color here. Okay. Of course, we can change the body background, but keeping white is recommended. And as you can see, in this way, we can have a completely different styled theme. Okay, so as soon as we have decided for our main colors, we can then adjust the colors for each of these sections. Okay, and there are some new settings for each of the settings to control the colors. Okay, let's check this media with text section, for example, here. Okay, we can have the main background color to be primary, but we can choose secondary, we can choose body background if we prefer, or the white color. Okay, for example, if we choose primary color, so also we have this new setting here, background opacity, that you can use to further adjust the background color. For example, we can decide to have this in the lighter shade of the primary colors, for example 10%. Okay, and as you can see now, we have this new color that you can adjust exactly as we prefer. Okay, then you can choose the text to be a primary color. Okay, so we have many more options here that you can use to adjust each of these settings, and at the same time keeping a very simple approach with only 4 main colors. Okay, also, beside the background color, background opacity, the text color here that you can use, we can change now the borders top and bottom. Okay, for example, we have now the border top in 1 pixel. We can change it, for example, to be 10 pixel, and have this border color to match the same primary color. The same we can have with the border bottom. As you can see now, we have a nice looking section, and we might also decide to have this lighter shade. And as you can see now, this media with text is looking completely different. Okay, so this styling group to control the colors are found on each of these sections across the theme. Okay, let's check now the rest of the settings for the global theme settings. We have here the general settings, First, we have the container maximum width that you can control. For example, we have now a small container, but if you prefer, you may adjust it, for example, to be 1800. And as you can see now, the whole container is much more bigger if you prefer in this way. Okay. Then we have the border radius. This border radius settings is global and is found across many elements, like these cards here, the buttons, drop downs, etc. For example, as soon as we change this setting here, we're going to notice that all these elements are using a different border radius. Okay. Then we have the logo and the fave icon image. This logo is used by Google to show your site on the search engine, and the fave icon image, of course, is used by the browser on this. Is this icon right here. Okay. Then you have the typography settings. We can control the body font and the heading font. In fact, we recommend that we keep the default sans serif font here if you prefer to keep the site speed faster. Of course, feel free to change the heading font to one that matches your store's vibe. Okay. Then you have the settings for the buttons. You can control the font size for the buttons if you prefer to have bigger buttons, for example, or smaller ones, as you can see here. Okay. Then you have the text transform if you were to have the buttons all in uppercase. Then you have the settings for the font family if you prefer for the buttons to match the fonts from the headings and not the body. We have the font weight for the buttons, but please note that not all fonts have the font weight available. For example, if you select the body, normally it should change. Okay. Then you have the letter spacing if you prefer to have a different letter spacing. Okay. And if you were to have the buttons with a gradient, choose this option here. Also, you can control the padding, horizontal and vertical as well. So in this way you can fine tune the buttons exactly as you want them to appear. Okay. Then you have the settings regarding the modal and off canvas. The modal is right here, and the off canvas is when you open the cart or the wish list. Normally the off canvas can be named the drawer as well. Okay. For the off canvas and the modal, you can change the background color. This one right here, if you prefer, for example, to match your primary colors. Okay, you may choose so. As you can see now, we have the different color for the backdrop. Then you can control this backdrop opacity. Okay, as you can see here, it is changing. Also the blur effect, if you don't want to have a blur effect. Okay, then you have the setting regarding the header of the off canvas and the modal. If you prefer to have this background color in primary, secondary, body, we have chosen primary with a 5% opacity, but of course you may change it to have it to have full opacity 100%, and also you should match the text color with the white if you prefer this style. Okay. Let's first change the body color to keep it white, so you can keep it simple. Okay. And now for the off canvas modal, you have the header, the same styling that we seen on the media with text section. You can control the border color, then the title font size if you prefer to have bigger titles. Okay, adjust this setting here. And that should be all for the model of canvas. Now we have the product cards that are this one right here. Okay, for the product cards, we can change the text align if you prefer this text to be on the side. The image mode, now we have in the carousel, but if you prefer, you can have just one image and show only the product featured image. You can control this image orientation. Now it is in square, but you may choose horizontal mode if you prefer so, or vertical mode depending on your product photos. Okay, or you may choose adapt if your images are different from each other. But normally we recommend to keep one of these settings here so that it can be on the same line. Okay, then you have the image border. If you don't want to have a border around the images, choose none or simply around it to disable this border here. Okay. Also we have the controls, the carousel controls color are these controls here that you may change depending on how your product photos are. You may choose this option. If your product photos are dark based, you can choose the white so they can be more, the controls can be more visible. Okay, then we have this carousel transition settings. You may prefer to have it fade. Okay, then you have the custom page meta field. Are these small pages here, hot, new, trending, that you can control through the meta fields. Each product should have this meta field with the namespace custom and the meta field key badge. For example, if you go to the meta fields, we have this custom page meta field. It should match the namespace and key custom.page. Okay, and then for each of the products, we're gonna assign the meta field value, custom badge, for example, trading, separated with the vertical line, and the color that we want to have for this specific meta field. Okay, so each of these custom badges can have in this way a custom color. Okay, then you have the sale badge discount type that you can choose. For example, we are showing the value of the discount, but we may choose the percentage as well if you prefer in this format. If you want to show the wish list button or not, disable here. You can change the title font sizes if you prefer to have bigger titles. Also we have show add to cart. If you don't want to show these forms, the add to cart forms, disable the settings. You can choose the add to cart button color based on the global colors that you have. You may choose primary, secondary. Also you may choose white if you have decided to go with a darker background color for the section. Okay, but also we have this new group that we have made for this theme, the light colors, that are light variants of the global colors. For example, this is the light variant for the primary color, this is the light variant for the secondary colors. Okay, and also we have the outline versions if you prefer to go with this style. Okay, then we have the color swatches settings. If your products have color options, you should adjust the settings. Especially if you are selling in a language not in English, the color might be named differently here. You should adjust this. This here should match the exact option name that is found on the product. It should it should match exactly this. And if you have multiple color options, you should separate them. You should list them all and separate them by a comma. Okay, that should be all for the product cards. Then you have the settings for the card drawer here. Okay, so for the card drawer, you can choose. First, we have the card icon, that is this icon here. If you prefer to have a back icon, choose the option. Okay. Then you have the settings to show the note field and the shipping calculator. The note field and shipping calculator will show as soon as we have a product to the cart. The note is here, if you want to show this or not, and the shipping calculator to calculate the shipping. Okay, based on the shipping that you have on the Shopify admin. Then you have the settings for the cart goal. Is this one here with the progress bar. You can choose to enable or disable completely this feature. Then you have the goal value. As you can see here, we have this format that you should keep with the currency before, separated by a semicolon, and the goal value. This means that if the currency is in USD dollars, it should be $100. But if your store currency, for example, is changed by the customer and they are shopping in euro, then it should match this one right here. Of course, this should be a bit higher depending on the goal that you are providing for this currency. Normally this currency should match. Okay, and if you have other currencies, you should match them here. Okay, if you have just only one currency in USD dollar, for example, just leave it in this format right here without separating with a comma. Okay, then you have the icon here. Is this small icon right here. You can change to be a gift, for example, if you are offering a free gift if the goal is reached, for example, and not the free shipping. Change the icon here, or no icon if you don't want to show icon at all. Then you have the settings for the text here. You can use this placeholder here with the amount separated by brackets. This will be changed with the actual gold value here. And then you can control the color. If you prefer to have the progress bar in the primary color, choose this option here. The same, but in this case, when the goal is completed, we are showing this text here and with this color for the progress bar. And you can also fine tune the progress bar as well, if you prefer to have it more visible. Adjust the setting here. Okay. And now let's check the settings for the upsells. The upsells are this block here you might like. Okay, of course the upsells are an important feature as they can increase the store AOV, average order value. Okay, we have first the title that you can change. Then we have a settings for the collection, to choose the collection that you want to pull the products from. Okay, if your collection has a lot of products, of course you can limit them here with the settings here, and you can choose the add to cart button color. For example, you may choose the new colors that you have, the light colors. Okay, and then we have the settings for the gift upsell. Is this feature right here? Of course, this is not limited to just gift, but that can be any type of upsell, a product that you want to upsell, and you can just adjust the title here and this text here. And what it does is simply add this product to the cart. As soon as the product is added to the cart, it will not show anymore on the footer. Okay, you can choose the product and the description as well with this price placeholder here that will be changed with the actual product price. Okay, and that should be all for the cart drawer. Then we have the settings for the search. Okay, of course our search is live and or predictive as Shopify calls it. You can enable disable completed the search. You can then show this suggestion here. For example, if you are seeing this suggestion tab here, it will suggest the text based on your products. Then you can search the collections. If you don't want to search within collection, disable the settings. The same for the blog articles and pages. If you don't want to have these quick view buttons here, disable the quick view button setting. Okay. Then we have the two extra features that we have for this theme: the wish list, if you don't want to have the wish list feature on the store, and the recently viewed that we are disabled for the theme, but you may choose to enable if you want to show the recently viewed products. Okay, then you have the settings for the social media that will show on the footer. You should enter here the full URL for each of the social media, and if you leave blank, the social icon will not show. The social icon also will show on here on the off canvas menu. Okay, and then the checkout settings, we are not going to cover it, as is the same for each of the Shopify theme and is a standard Shopify approach. Okay, that should be all for the global theme settings. Next, we are going to check the settings for some, not all, for some of the important sections that, like this hero carousel, the featured products and the featured collection. And then we are going to check some of the settings for the collection pages and the product page. Okay, let's first check the settings on the header, that are on the header group and the footer group. Okay, for the announcement bar, we have simplified, in fact, the announcement bar for this theme based on our studies. So we have decided to omit the slider and only have one text here, one line of text here. Okay, so as the announcement bar, of course, it should be important, so it should have only one line of text. Okay, for the announcement bar, you can change the text itself here. If you prefer, for example, to link to some page or some product here, you should select the whole text here and add the link accordingly. Okay, then we have the styling. This new styling, as we have said, is shared across the whole section on the theme. For example, for the announcement bar, you can choose to go with a different slide. Well, you can choose to have the primary color in 100% opacity, full primary color, and of course change the text to match it to be white. Also, you may choose a different style. For example, if you prefer, let's choose this 10%, this primary color, and this border with color here. You may change, for example. So you may play around and choose the style that you prefer. Okay. Then we have the general settings. You can control the font size, medium, large, or extra large. Okay. Text transform, if you prefer to have all in uppercase, you can adjust a bit more the letter spacing if you prefer so. And then we have the spacing settings that are shared across all sections, that are the same across all sections. Okay, then we have the nav bar. The nav bar has the the general settings, again the style that you can control. New for this theme is this transparent navbar that is available only on the home page, not on other pages, and normally you should have the first section here, some type of image, or the hero carousel is perfect. But if you don't want to have this transparent navbar, you can simply disable it here. Okay. So you have the styling. For example, for the navbar, you may go again with the primary with the white text. Of course, you should change the logo here to match this white text. Okay. As you can see here, the options are very robust. You can adjust the styling for each of the sections exactly as you might need to. For example, you may choose a different style, like this one here, with border bottom as well, or even go a bit more extreme, like this style here. Of course, if you have a different color here on the global colors, it will match the colors exactly as you prefer. For example, let's choose some different colors. Let's choose this simply some black color here. Okay, and as you can see now, in this way we can have a very different style theme, very different from the default that we have made. Okay, for the announcement bar, let's disable the border color. Okay, that should be all for the styling for the navbar. You should play around with the settings here. Also, you can change the shadow that is showing below here, and that should be all. So the navbar is made by two blocks. One is for the mobile version, here, and the other one is for the desktop version. Let's check first the desktop version. You can control here the container maximum width if you don't want this to be the same as the global container that is set on the general settings. But instead, for example, you may want to have the navbar very large. As you can see, now it is taking the full width of the site. Okay, let's disable this to take the default container that you have. Then you have the logo that you can choose. Then we have the logo if you are using the transparent navbar. If you are not using the transparent navbar, do not upload the logo here. It is not necessary. Then you have the logo height that you can control here. Okay. Then you have the main menu that is shown here. For the main menu, of course, we have the drop down, the mega menu. Let's quickly check the mega menu here. All you have to do to have a mega menu is simply have 3 levels of menu items. As you can see now, for the shop we have the first level here, which is shop itself. Then you have the man, this is the second level, and for the man collection you have these 3rd levels of menu items here. As soon as the menu is structured with 3 levels, it will show it with the mega menu style. Okay, for these 2 images here with text, they also will show automatically. As soon as you don't have a 3rd level for these menu items here, they will show as images. These in fact are both pointing to a collection. So as soon as the user clicks here, it will go on the respective collection. So as you can see, in this way it is very easy and convenient to set this mega menu. Okay, let's check the rest of the settings here. We have we have the spacing as well that you can change if you prefer for the nav bar. Then for the mobile version you should change the other block, the logo. The logo if you are using a transparent background setting, the logo height, choose the main menu that will show on here on the mobile version, this menu here on the off canvas menu. Okay, we have this collection menu that are these nice scrollable collection menu items here. If you don't want to have this at all, simply leave this collection menu empty, and if you want to show the social icons here or not, and the settings for the spacing itself for the nav bar here. Let's check now the sections on the footer. Let's check first the footer itself. Of course you can change the, let's hit refresh and check the settings on the footer. Okay, for the footer again we have these robust styling settings that you can adjust the footer exactly as you want. For example, you may choose the primary, secondary, or simply match the body color or have it in white if the body color is different from the white. Okay, you can also adjust the background opacity here. Of course it should match the tags with the primary color. We have this border top width that we have chosen, for example, but this should match the primary color. And then we can adjust these settings as we prefer. Then you have these general settings here to show the social icons, to show the payment icons, and this powered by text here by Condasoft and powered by Shopify, and the spacing itself that you can tell for the top and the bottom. Also the footer is composed by blocks. We have two types of blocks for the footer, the menu. We have the first three blocks are menus that you can change here. You can change the title size for the block and the title for each of these menus here. For the rich text block, you can change the title font size here, the description, the bottom, the primary button text, we have it here, the URL if you prefer to have a different color or so, and if you prefer to have a secondary button, enter the text here and with the secondary button color. Okay, that should be all for the footer. Of course, also for the footer in mobile view, these blocks are all collapsible. Okay, so let's check now the settings for the newsletter. As you can see, for the newsletter we have merged it with these task badges icons here. These are done through the newsletter blocks. You can add more also if you prefer so. They are going to show here and here. Okay, you can have as many as you prefer. For the newsletter, you can change the whole styling for the section as well, if you prefer so. Of course, you should upload white images as well, if you prefer to go with this style. Then you can control again the maximum container width, if you prefer to have a different container width. The newsletter title here, subtitle, the description, and the newsletter form itself. You can change this bottom color here, the bottom size, this small text here and the spacing for the newsletter. Each of these blocks are done through, each of these blocks here, you can change them the text align. Okay, you can also choose this image here, which we have done in SVG mode. You can get some nice icons if you go to the Bootstrap site and simply download any of these icons here. Okay, you can change the title font size, the description font size. In mobile view, of course, these blocks here will stack. Okay. Then, new for this theme, we have the newsletter pop-up setting. Okay, as soon as you click on the newsletter pop-up, it will open it so you can see your changes. Let's check the important settings for this section. We have the delay. This is the time to wait before the showing the dialog. So in other words, as soon as the user lands on your page, it will wait 5 seconds before showing the newsletter pop-up. This is the time to wait, or the days to wait before showing this newsletter again. So it will wait 3 days after the user has interacted with this dialog in one form or the other. If he might or she might have submitted the email or simply dismissed the modal, it will show again after 3 more days. You can control this modal width here. The title font size, and this text here. And also you might also prefer to simply do not show an image at all, remove the image here. Control the image height and the newsletter form itself, the bottom color here, the bottom size, and this text here, and the spacing here and here. Okay, also another way to test this newsletter feature, because it will not show as soon as you interacted with it, you simply have to have the question mark with the newsletter pop-up text, and as soon as this text is in URL, it will open every time the newsletter pop-up. Also, you may share this text directly with your user if you want them to view this newsletter pop-up. Okay, then next we're going to check some of the sections that we have here. We're going to check the hero carousel, the featured products, and a few more sections. Okay, let's start with the hero carousel, this section here. We can change the styling, we have already seen that. Then we have the settings regarding the carousel. You can show these controls here and these pagination dots here with these 2 settings. You can change the transition effect. For example, we have set to default to fade, but you can change it to slide if you prefer also. This is the transition duration, how fast the transition will run. For example, this one is a bit slower. You can change it to be more faster. Okay, then you have the autoplay. If you prefer the slide to autoplay, if you don't, simply select 0. Okay, then you have this settings for the effect when the slides are changed. As you can see, the images are zoomed in, but you may prefer to be zoomed out, or simply if you select none if you don't want to have an effect. Then you have the settings regarding the media, the image or the video that you can control. For the mobile, the media height on mobile, if you prefer to have a bigger carousel on mobile, adjust this setting, and the same applies for the desktop. If you want the media to adapt on the image itself, the image proportion, you should choose this option here. But please note that the slides might be different. Okay, this option is in fact a good option if you are using just one slide and you want the image to have its original proportions. Okay, then you have the settings for the captions, the maximum width for the captions, you can control it here, the position, the settings for the subtitle here, the title font size, and the description font size. Also we have the settings for the buttons, the primary button and the secondary buttons. As you have seen before, the buttons have three different styles: solid, light and outline. Okay. For the hero carousel, also it has blocks. Each of the slides is in fact a block. You can have as many slide or blocks as you prefer. Of course, you should not have too many because your store will be slowed down. Okay, for the block then we have the settings for the image and the video. So you can have either an image or a video. In fact, these two images here are not needed, as we are showing for this slide the video. You can have a different video if you prefer from mobile. For example, from mobile you might have a video that is in portrait mode, and for the desktop normally in landscape mode. You can control here the overlay color. For example, you may choose a bigger overlay. As you can see now, the video is less visible now, and you can change this overlay color, for example, to match the color that you are using for the primer. Okay. You can adjust the blur effect if you don't want to have a blur, for example. Okay, then you have the caption itself, the subtitle here, the title, the description here, and the settings for these two buttons here. Okay, that should be all for the carousel section. Let's check now let's check this marquee text, marquee section as well. We have the settings to control the style. For example, you may choose a different style or go with a style like this as well. You can hide these two effects here from the setting here. Select the text to be body. As you can see now, the marquee text is looking differently. You may prefer to have, for example, a border both top and bottom, and the border should match the secondary color. As you can see now, the marquee text is looking differently. Okay, then we have the general settings. We have the settings to have for the list label, because the elements of the marquee are a list, and a list should have a label for accessibility purposes for users that are browsing, that are viewing your store through a screen reader. Okay, for disability purposes. Okay, you can change this label here. Okay, you have settings for the header. In fact, we are not showing a header, but you might prefer to have one, especially if this text here will be images, because the marquee section has the ability, besides to show the text, it can show images as well. We are going to check that option shortly. Okay, you can then change the title. Let's hit refresh. Okay. Okay. We have the settings for the title. For example, if you have a title here, you can control the font size. if you prefer to have a description and a description font size here. Then you have the settings for the marquee itself. You can choose to have a slower marquee or a faster one. Okay. And the direction, it can be either left or right. For example, you might have two sections on your home page, one that scrolls on the right side and one that scrolls on the left side. Then you have the settings regarding these items here, each of the elements. The image height, we are going to check the images shortly. Then you have the image opacity, the font size, if you prefer to have a bigger font size. Then you can further control the text. You can have it in uppercase, you can control the letter spacing here. And this is the settings regarding the spacing between the elements itself that you can control, and the settings for the padding top and the padding bottom. Okay, as you have said, the marquee can either be text or it can be an image. Let's check now. For example, for the image base, you can display a some brands logos. For example, if you check our snippet here, the marquee can be also an image based like this one right here. You can list here your brand images if you prefer to have this format. Okay, then each of the items here is a block. You can change the title, and if you prefer, you can link to a page on a Shopify store. Sorry. Then we have let's check now the featured product section. Again, you can control the styling for this section. You can choose to be a different style also. For example, like this. Okay. Then you have the settings to control the products. You can either select individual products to show this section or choose the products from a collection. And if from a collection, you can limit those products if this collection has many products. Also, if this section is inside the product page, you can change these settings here to enable the recommended mode, so Shopify can show automatically based on AI products that are related to the main product that the user is currently viewing. But if you prefer, there is another option called complementary that you can use to manually adjust these products here. You should use this app, the Shopify Search and Discovery app, and through this app you can control these products. Okay, then you have the settings for the header that you have seen, and the settings now for the slider itself. You can control the speed if you prefer a slower slider. The slider settings are the same with other sections that have the slider, for example the featured collection or the testimonial slider. You can either show these arrows here or in the pagination. The pagination type, it can be either bullets or it can be a fraction. You can also show the scroll bar here and an option to have the partial slide on mobile in order to view a part of the next slide in mobile. For the autoplay, you can choose 0 if you don't want to have the slides play automatically. And then we have the settings for the breakpoints. These are the settings that enables you to control how many items it should be visible for each of the different screen resolution. For mobile, we have chosen 1. For tablet, that is smaller than desktop, we have chosen 2, and for the large screen desktop we have chosen 4, but of course you can change these settings exactly as you need them to be. And use settings to control the spacing top and the spacing bottom. Okay. Let's check now this media with text section, because this media with text is, in fact, we have customized this section, we have enhanced this section, and now you can have the content through blocks. In this way, it is very convenient to build this nice list that you may have seen across e-commerce stores. For example, on the first one you can have the media on the left, on the second one you can have it on the right, and in this way you can build a features page or whatever else your project might need. Okay, you can control here the maximum width, and each of these blocks can have its own styling. For example, on the first one you may choose this style, on the second one you may choose the secondary style, okay, and so on. Okay, for mobile it is important to note that this media will always be on the top of the text, okay, but on the desktop the media can be positioned at either left or right through this setting here. Okay, as we have said, the media with text has 2 options. It can either show an image or it can show an MP4 video. In fact, it can show an external video as well. If you want to show the video from YouTube, simply paste the link here. Okay, let's quickly check now the new section that we have built for this theme, the lookbook section. You can control the styling, of course, like this, for example. Then you can change the header, title and description. Then the image, one for mobile. For example, for mobile we have the image in the vertical mode, and for the desktop in the horizontal mode. Then we have the settings regarding these dots here, these points here. You can change the color for them, and the diameter if you prefer them to be bigger, for example, more visible. Then you have the settings for the popovers that are when the user clicks. Let's check the section on the front end. That are on the user clicks on the dot. Okay, you can control some of the settings here. You can change the text align, the image, the price, the button text, and the button color. Okay, that should be all for the section. We have given you an overview of some of the sections, but of course, if you have questions, you are more than welcome to let us know either on our community forum that we have just launched or through our contact us form. Okay, that should be all for the section of the home page. Next, we are going to check the collection pages and finally the product page itself. On the collection pages, we have in fact changed the main collection section. We have split it. Now the header is a different section and the collection products is a different one. In this way you can have more control through the header and the settings are better organized. Okay, so for the collection header, of course you can change the styling. This will be visible if, for example, you don't have a collection image. You can change the styling for the collection header. Okay, for example, you can go with this style here. Okay. Then you have the settings for the collection image. You can show the collection image or not. And the overlay color, for example, you may choose a different color and have it more visible and have it blur as well and have this style as well. Then you can control the text and the description here and the spacing both for mobile and for the desktop. For the collection products here, again you can change the style if you prefer to change it. Then you can change the limit products. How many products do you want to show per page? If you want to show this product count here, and the settings for the filters button, the button style, and the sort by feature. Okay. Again, as you have seen before, the breakpoint settings for the collection page. You can change how many items to show on mobile, for the tablets, and for the larger screens. For example, you may choose 5 or even 3. Okay, and the settings for the spacing top and bottom. It is important to note that everything on the collection pages is dynamically loaded. For example, if you change the filters, the page will not load, but instead it will fetch only the products dynamically. The same logic applies for the pagination. For the pagination here, as soon as you click the next page, it will automatically load the products without refreshing the page. And the same logic applies to the sort by feature. Okay, that should be all for the collection pages. Let's check now the product page itself. Okay, everything is done through this product main section. It is important to note that everything on the right side is can be reorganized. For example, you can move each of these blocks here and they will move accordingly. Of course, the product gallery itself will not move whatever you put it on the list. Okay, let's check the settings for the media gallery. First, you can have the image orientation. If you prefer, you can have a horizontal or vertical view, depending how your product images are formatted. Okay, you can have a border or not through the setting here. You can change the effect. For example, you can have slide, but you can have fade as well. You can have some other fancy animation if you prefer to be a bit more fancy, like this cube effect, okay, or this cover flow effect here. Okay, then you can control the speed, the animation speed if you prefer for the slides to change more slowly, for example. And this pagination type, it can be a fraction as well. If you want to show the scroll bar on the bottom, and the option to control these thumbnails here, if you want them to show or hide them completely, or show them only on desktop, and how many thumbs you want to show per view. Okay, this setting here controls the full screen gallery. If you want the user to view your product more in details, you should enable these settings, and the settings to control the effect, the slide effect. For example, you may choose, let's hit refresh. Okay, and you can control the full screen effect. It can be the slide fade or this zoom effect that you see here. Then we have the title block to show the product title. Each of these blocks here, you can control the spacing. Okay. And then you have the star rating. This is in fact a dynamic block that you can inject through the apps. Each of the apps can have its own blocks here. Okay. Then you have this rich text block that we have used to show the subtitle. The subtitle is done through a meta field. Okay, we have injected here through this bottom here the subtitle meta field, and the subtitle meta field is done through the meta fields. Let's quickly check it also. We have the product subtitle meta field with a type of single line of text, and each of the products can have now its own subtitle through the product page, and it will show accordingly on the product page. You can control here the font size for this description text. Also, this rich text block have settings to show the product description itself. In this way, you may prefer this style and not to show the product description through a collapsible, like we are seeing here. If you prefer to have it always visible, use the rich text blocks with the product description enabled. Okay. Then this is a bit more advanced to have some classes. If you know the Bootstrap framework, you can fine-tune the description with more classes. For example, the opacity classes, or have the font weight in bold, or font style in italic, or whatever class you might need to have here. Okay, in this way you can fine-tune the description classes. Okay, let's check now the price block. You can control the font size for this price block, and if the product has a discount, for example this here has, you can choose the discount type to be hidden in percentage or the actual discount value. Okay, then you can also control the spacing. Then you have the product options here, this one here, that you can change. For example, you can have them in this bottom style or in this select style, if you prefer this format. Of course, you have the color swatching feature enabled. As we have said, this should match the exact product option. Okay. If you don't want to have the swatches, simply leave the field empty. Okay. Then you have the subscription widget through the official Shopify subscriptions app. Of course, if you don't have a subscriptions, it will not be visible. Okay. The stock indicator is this feature right here that indicates how many items are currently on the stock. You can change the threshold for it. Below this number, it will show the items as in low stock, and you can change the color for this progress bar here, and the color when the product is in stock after this number here. Okay, you can change also the progress height itself and the spacing like the other blocks. Then you have the add to cart buttons. You can show this quantity field here. You can also show the dynamic buttons. These are payment methods that Shopify injects automatically based on the payment methods that you have enabled on your Shopify admin. Okay. You can control the bottom, the color for the add to cart button if you want to have a different color, and the bottom size as well. Then you can control the buy it now button, this button here. This button will skip the cart and go directly to the checkout. Okay. and the spacing as well. Then you have the trust icons, these icons here. You can have a label for it. We have already mentioned it. It is used for accessibility purposes. You can control the maximum width to fine-tune the block, okay? And the icon size if you prefer to have bigger icons. And the items, each of these elements here, you can have up to 4 icons. Each of the icons can have the text and the icon itself. If you don't want to have a text, simply leave this blank, okay? And then for the icons, you can get them from the Bootstrap icons. This is a library that has some nice icons, but of course any SVG icon should work just fine. Okay. Then we have in fact these 4 blocks here are all the same type. They are a collapse block, and normally they should be positioned next to each other, so you can have a nice accordion effect. Okay. So you can change the title here. If you prefer to be these titles based on the heading font, change the setting here, and the font size, and more options to fine-tune the titles. And then you have the description here. For the first collapse, we have chosen to show instead the product description, okay, and the font size for it. Then you can fine-tune some more options. For example, this border here, you can change the width for it. You can change it to be in the primary color if you prefer so. And an option to open this collapse block by default when the user first lands on the page. The same logic applies for this other collapsible. For this side chart, the side chart effect is done through dynamic loading. For example, here, as you can see, with this code, it is saying that we should load the page with this page handle here. It will fetch the page content. So this table here is added on the page itself. In this way you can have as many size chart as you want. Okay, if you check the page, it is calling this page here that we have added some HTML here, but of course you may just have here an image and simply use this page handle here, okay, and it will show the content of the page. Okay, the same logic applies for these other 2 blocks. Then you have a nice block, the separator, that you might use to separate the various blocks. Okay, for example, as you can see now, we have this separator here that you can fine-tune as well. In this way you can separate various blocks, especially if you are using many blocks and this content here is very large. Also, we have a liquid code block that you can use to add your own HTML or liquid code, Shopify liquid. For example, we are showing here the today's date. Okay, but for example, you might as well show a video and simply copy the embed code from the video and paste it here, and normally it will show the YouTube video. Okay, so any type of HTML should work fine on this block. Okay, that should be all for the main product. On the product page you have the reviews based on the Judge Me reviews, but of course any app should work fine. Any reviews app. We have the recommended products that we have already seen, that is based on the featured products section. And you have this sticky add to cart section as well, that we can also adjust exactly as we need to. Okay, through the styling colors, and it will show the sticky add to cart. Okay, that should be all for the product page, and in fact it should be all for the whole video. It has been a long video. I appreciate you if you have looked until the end, and thanks for watching.